mission statement is, we provide a place to gather for promoting harmony in mind, body, and spirit. We do not necessarily agree with, endorse, or promote the ideas and philosophies presented by our guest speakers. We encourage each of you to form your own opinion, guided by your own innate higher self. We are dedicated to creating a safe, supportive place to heal, to grow, and to realize our true essence.
If you would like to receive the program schedule, please give Jim Spivey your name and email address. There's Jim waving his hand around. We want to welcome folks here for the first time. Please raise your hand and we'll bring you the mic if you are here for the first time. Please stand, hold the mic very close to your mouth, and tell us your name and where you're from.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth. I am an anthropologist. I live in Guadalajara and in Manzanillo. I hope to welcome you all in Manzanillo one of these days in my ecological camp. Thank you.
My name is Lloyd Cumley. I'm from Salem, Oregon, and I bought a house in Chapala about a year ago.
All right.
Hey.
Well, now we're going to ask for donations for the food service, for the rent paid to the LCS, and did we miss somebody? Somebody's hiding? Lady. And a young man going at his office every day would come out and give her 25 cents and never take the pretzel. And he did this for 3 years. And one day he comes out and he walks by and gives her the 25 cents and never said a word to him before. And she says, the pretzels are 35 cents. Paraphrase. Anyway, we have a couple of announcements. One is Ellen Bensman tells me that they are beginning the second annual Jewish Film Festival starting next Sunday, a week from today. The film will be Live and Become. Will also, our speaker, this is a note saying that he'll be speaking at the Green Group on the first Tuesday in February. Ready? We're going to introduce our speaker today. Oh, first the meditation, and then you're going to introduce the speaker. Yes, first.
Hold on just a second. Let me swap mics with you. Something's not working correctly.
If life is nothing more and nothing less than a brief gleam of time between two eternities, if, as Albert Einstein said, there are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live as if everything is a miracle. If free will is an expression of self-determination. In other words, if free will is like a magic wand that places you in the reality of your choice, if by choosing an inner attitude in awareness, you can actually increase or decrease the quality of your life, then Why choose a negative attitude and label it realistic, factual? Tikurulam. Tikurulam is an ancient voice from the Hebrew tradition, meaning to heal the world. Tikurulam. Quantum mechanics talks about the phenomena where the presence of the observer alters the quality of the observed. Let's exchange the word presence for the word awareness. Quantum mechanics talks about the phenomena where the awareness of the observer alters the quality of the observed. Allow yourself to become aware of the nature of your thoughts at all times. Do you choose to live in radiance? Or do you choose to live as a snuffed out candle? According to your faith, be it done unto you. Matthew 9:29. My friend Jim Spivey says, all of us at Lakeside are here for a purpose. Could it be that by choosing to dwell in the positive, we are actually a redeeming reality? Todd Stong, one of Open Circle's most popular speakers, will update the information of the water conditions and prospects for changes around Lake Chapala. He's a world-traveling, bridge-building, water expert and civil engineer who has been instrumental in bringing safe drinking water by implementing low-cost water purification techniques here and in remote parts of the world. Dr. Stong is in his 9th year as a volunteer engineer, surveying area villages and advising 5 lakeside residents, which includes 42 villages on infrastructure solutions and priorities. So let us now welcome the healing presence of a man of radiant faith and profound reason, Dr. Stong.
Are you able to hear me back there? As usual, I had some people say they didn't recognize me since I didn't have on my jumpsuit. And so I was going to, my wife said, you have to dress nicer, you know, there's more people coming. You know? And so I said, I'll dress nicer, I'll put a jumpsuit on, and then I'll strip it off. You know? And she says, you can't do that. You know? So I would like to introduce my wife. If she please stand up, Vivian. For 9 years, you know, I've been running away as soon as the sun gets up, and I get lost in the mountains, and she has no idea what I'm doing. You know, that's pretty good in a way. and I get back, I hope, maybe before the sun goes down. And so it takes quite a wife to tolerate, a vagabond husband who is around the lake all the time somewhere. But I want to thank her very much for doing that. I like to think of everybody here as friends. I mean, some of you I know as friends personally. I know your face, I know your voice. I have your email. And I'm asking that those of you that do not receive email from me, that you maybe consider putting your name on a list here, and that way I can get email out to you, okay? So I'm going to just pass around here a couple of sheets, and if you're not right now on that list, if you could just pass, if you could just do that. Corinne, if you could maybe put it in the 4 places. Yeah, the biggest problem I have is how you write. Yeah, it's almost as bad as mine, okay? And so I'm a 2-finger typist, but I claim 1,000 pages a year. And I can read it once it's typed, okay? After 3 days, I can't read my handwriting. But I have an awful time when I get your email addresses and I can't read them, okay? And I send them out, and they come back, I send them out, I guess it's an R, it's a G, it's an S, So give me your phone number and try and write that well, too. Because I have some I fail on both, phone numbers and email. But I'd love to put you on my mailing list, let you know about projects that are going on. There are far too many things for me to talk about today than the time we have. Jim, how much time do I have anyway? So I know when to sort of quit. 40 minutes. When I go to see a municipal president, we usually talk for 2 hours. 40 minutes, okay. All right, what I'm going to do this time.
You'll be able to stay and answer questions or go a little over.
A little over, okay.
You can go over. We'll give everybody the warning at 11:30, and if anybody needs to leave, they can leave quietly, and Dr. Stong can continue.
The booze will be subdued. Okay, there's just a lot of topics. This is a very interesting year. Wonderful things are happening here in Mexico. The government is in its 2nd year, and money is beginning to flow, and I'm pleased to say a lot of good projects are in the mill. Things are happening. We're always saying things that need to be done, and this nation, of course, has much less money than we have up north, okay? And a certain portion of it doesn't really get to the end of the road either, But anyway, I'm telling you that things are really good, and that's nice. I sent out some email to some of you. I've gotten about 52 responses back on what I should talk about most. I got a lot of questions back, and so I have an idea what the main topics are. I'm going to read you off a list of topics first, okay? And then, give you an idea of what I might talk about if I have enough time, and maybe what are the priorities in the minds of those people that hit me here. Let me see, is Arturo Seabees here by chance? Arturo Seabees, okay. Yeah, I just want to make a little plug, okay? And this is probably not the best thing, but I travel a lot around the lake. And I'm on the south side of the lake where it's very poor, but very interesting. And I want to tell you, the best food, the safest food, the best restaurant, and a little romantic hotel to perhaps stay in, is in San Luis. It's called Las Crotas, and a fellow by the name of Arturo Seabees runs that. And I was talking with him the other day. He said, "Be over here." And so I'd like you to think about going over that way. The people on the south need your money. Land on that side, believe it or not, is 50 to 100 times cheaper per acre.
Yep.
So you might go that way. Okay. What topics should we begin with? Well, like I said, let me just read what topics I have here, and then we'll try and go from that. People are interested in hydroponic greenhouses, wetlands going to El Shante and other places, the testing in the lake that I've been doing this year. I came back early because the state government asked me to come on back early, and I forgot that my wife was coming behind me, and I set my return date for the 10th of May, and being an engineer, I forgot that was 8 months. And I'm supposed to be here on a tourist visa for 6 months. And so I said, well, maybe I should just move across the lake and become Roy Rogers. And I asked a couple of my legal friends, and they said, they didn't say anything for a whole week, okay? And after a week, one came back and said, well, the best thing is, that paper you got at the airport, throw it away. So I'm here 8 months unless you tell somebody. Another topic is low-cost bottled water. Trying to bring water to poor villages at a lower price. I'm hoping for 75% reduction in what it costs them. Aquaculture coming to the lake, the possibility of what it can do. I want to talk about the second pipeline proposed to go from the lake on up to Guadalajara. I want to talk about overflowing sewers in some of the villages and what's happening and what's going on there. I want to talk about some of the misinformation about the lake. Because if anything, I hope you gain from me that there are a lot of very, very positive things happening here, and the lake is much, much, much better than we understand when we read 20-year-old websites and when we read people who have another agenda and no data, okay? I'd like to talk about, I have a paper coming out real soon on 20 ideas for correcting the problems between the fishermen and the fish, and that'll be going into the state government along with the continued work on the testing we have of the lake. Some people are interested in the recent increase in algae in the lake. I'd like to talk about the significance of the lake being at a stable level for 6 years. The lake has been at a stable level. You might not know it, okay? But for a guy who does numbers and graphs and charts, first time in 100 years, 6 years in a row. I'm going to tell you why. I want to be going in very soon into testing for fecal coliform bacteria for the 4th year, and that's a test we run to determine on an international standard that the water is good for recreation, okay? And in the 3 years past, it's been 50 against a limit of 200. It's very good. It looks like Alabama mud, or Georgia mud, or Mississippi mud, or, like we have our lakes in the south look that way, but you that look at water and you can see through it, don't think it's clean. I want to talk about a Fishermen's Federation. I'm working on a project to try to diplomatically, quietly create a federation of about 3,000 fishermen around the lake so that they can get their lives in better order. I want to talk about the distribution of water in villages and how that might be better, because that's the next major problem once you get enough wells. So they're the kind of topics. I think I'll jump onto the pipeline first, because I see I got a stick back here, and let me do that. I've talked to people about the lake and the second pipeline that's going in, and some people understand when I talk, but I usually talk with numbers, okay? And so for you people that are from a liberal arts background, I just got instructions from headquarters to put this up here. Okay. Now, I don't have anything against people with a bachelor's degree in the arts. They make our life enjoyable after work. Sometimes I say things wrong because I just say it, okay? I don't think about it. All right. What's going on with the lake? What's this about Guadalajara wanting more water? What's this about a second pipeline? What's this about a guy running around town here with loudspeakers and placards saying he'd rather give a pint of blood than a drop to the lake, another kind of political garbage. Okay. We have a lake here which goes up and down during the year normally, okay? Mostly because of evaporation. The lake is at the full point around the 1st to the 6th of October each year. It goes down, and it's lowest around the 1st of June, something like that, okay? And then the rains come back up and bring it up. But this is what happens to the lake. And this part here, about 1 meter, is due to evaporation, okay? Water evaporating off the lake. This is a giant evaporative cooler. And it's what makes the climate here wonderful. Because if it gets warmer, the evaporation comes off the lake and it cools it down, okay? If we had no lake, this would be like Saudi Arabia, perhaps. Up here, we have 30 centimeters of water that's going to Guadalajara, okay? And that piece is actually too big, all right? I was looking at a report just last night that came in on the lake level and the ups and downs of it for last year, all right? The proposed addition is about this much, okay? About that much, okay? The Guadalajara legally has a right to this much water, okay? They have used this much water in the past. They want this additional piece of water. And, you know, there's lots of reasons for saying, you know, well, couldn't they do something else? They've been fighting over dams around the country, and they've been knocked down by different opponents. They've been fighting on more wells. But we have a pipeline here, and the pipeline is this diameter, okay? It's 2 meters in diameter, okay? All right? It fills about 5,000 trucks, 5,000 gallon trucks a minute, okay? Or a second, okay? So, yeah, it's a lot of water, okay? But it's that much water. Now, from the time of the Romans up to 1980, the lake went up and down because of rainfall. Right? From 1980, the lake went up and down because of devices of men, okay? Politics, whatever you want to call it, okay? From 1980 to 2003, we saw the lake coming down, 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 down. And what was happening is bit by bit, the farmers along the 700-kilometer long Lerma River were convincing the government to give them more water, okay? More water, and we saw the lake finally went down to about 20% full, all right? 20% full, all right? That got people's attention. I think particularly Guadalajara, because if you go from 80% full to 20% full, you cut it by a factor of 4. That means whatever substances are in the lake get increased on a percentage basis by 400%. And that means if you think that there's a problem with mercury or lead or arsenic or any of these things, you got a 400% increase in those items. And so I'm sure that Guadalajara, trying to provide water to 3 or 4 million people, knew they had a problem. And the country reevaluated the politics. Right? Since 2003, the priority has come to the lake because Guadalajara has put up its political clout. Right? You know, if we didn't have a godfather, a great uncle like Guadalajara, we could be at the mercy of the thousands of farmers up the Lerma River who would take the water. Right now, this is the water that comes in each year from the Lerma, okay? It fills it up to the same point, all right? That's happened for 6 years. If the Lerma River was shut off, and that's what basically happened in 2002, the water here is the water that comes from the local mountains, all right? All right? You see, the water from the local mountains is not enough to take care of the evaporation up there. All right? So anyway, if the Lerma River was shut off, we would have no lake at all in about 6 years. Okay? It'd be gone. All right? And then Saudi Arabia would come. So, this is a pipeline to Guadalajara. You use your imagination. I think it's about 30 years old. It has a lot of leaks in it. Some people say that 40% of the water is leaking out of here. That's pretty serious. Because the water they need more is less than 40%, okay? So how do you fix this pipe? And how do you keep the people of Guadalajara having water, all right? Do you have a million tank trucks a day? No. You got to have another pipeline, okay? And so the pipeline that goes on in, you know, needs to be there so they can fix the one they have right now. Right? In the meantime, they're building a dam called Saltillo? Arciano Dam, okay? And I think the Arciano Dam is, the water in it is going to be split between Guanajuato and Jalisco. And I believe it will probably provide enough water for 1 million people in Guadalajara, okay? But that's only part of maybe the 3 million that now get water from this pipe. So please understand, nobody likes to give away water, but giving away water to your guardian angel, you might say, I think is a good deal, all right? And I think as long as the federal government keeps putting it back in, filling it up every year, you know. I don't care how much water we get to Guadalajara, as long as we keep the lake where it's at. We have made a compromise. The lake is at normally about 66% full now, based on this agreement. It's running from about 60 to about 80, all right? And it will never be full. No water has flowed out of the lake in 32 years. No water will flow out of the lake during any of our lifetime here. No water will flow out, I think, 1,000 years. This will eventually become a salt lake, and then it will eventually become a no lake. You know, but that's 3,000 years away. So I say that, you know, try and think about the facts. And when you hear loudspeakers and you see, you know, elevated rhetoric, think about it. Okay, did I say anything about that? Okay, aquaculture. In being out on the lake for 2 months, I don't like fish. I don't eat fish. But I was in a boat for about 2 months in the lake, going around the lake. It's a big lake. In a fishing boat with a motor, okay? It takes 4 hours to go from the west end to the east end, 4 hours, okay? It's a big lake, okay? I found fishing to be long hours, low pay, and dangerous. Okay? I think 2 days out there, I thought I was going to sleep with a fish. But I wear a life preserver, okay? But all my friends, my Mexican friends who drive the boats, are all macho men, you know, and they all drown, right? But anyway, in going around the lake, I found lots and lots of problems, okay? Almost open warfare among the fishermen, too few fish, too many fishermen, 70% illegal nets, you know, and a need to make some changes. Government agencies unable with their resources to control 3,000 fishermen over 110,000 hectares of land, okay? And so things are chaotic on the lake. And that's one reason why I wanted backing the formation of the federation, bring all the fishermen together so we can do things as one body. Aquaculture is another one of these 20 things I'm thinking about, that we can bit by bit migrate people to aquaculture. In the world today, over 60% of the fish in the world today come from aquaculture, not out of the ocean, not out of lakes, not out of rivers, okay? I was trying to do a calculation, I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something like, in the ocean we got about one fish for about every piece of water. It's about 100 foot cube, you know. They're really spread out, okay? In aquaculture, we put 100 fish in a cubic meter, all right? And we raise them. It's concentrated, all right? The leaders in aquaculture today are China, India, Thailand. Mexico needs to find a place there. Mexico needs to do something. They're doing some work in aquaculture, mostly on the west coast, mostly with shrimp and salmon, things like that. Most of it's in cages in the ocean or in the estuaries over there, and some of it's in ponds. Right? And what I'm proposing now is not a large aquaculture mega farm, which will make money, which will make profit, but I'm proposing many little aquaculture operations around the lake that are inefficient, but they provide jobs. Okay? And so you're trading profit for jobs. And so I'd like to see maybe 30 or 40 small aquaculture activities in the villages so that the people there have this opportunity for alternate employment. Whenever I talk to people in the village, the number one wish, you might say, of the people there is that their children not leave the village, that they have some reason for staying there. And so that's why I think hydroponics, that's why I think aquaculture. In terms of aquaculture, in order to compete with the world leaders in aquaculture, you can't do it with tanks, okay? Unless you want to raise caviar, and you can put your sturgeon in there, and you can squeeze them every once in a while and get some caviar, you know, and sell for $2,000 a pound, you know. Economics will let you do that in a tank, okay? But to raise fish, you need to put the fish in cages in the water, okay, in the lake. And so when you do that, you have to measure what the environmental impact is, okay? And in some parts of the world where they haven't paid attention to that, they've concentrated it too much and it has had a negative environmental impact. So as I look at this option, I'm very careful to try and understand, what the change might be in the biological oxygen demand, what might be changed in coliform, things like that. But if we could use 1% of the lake, 1% of the lake for aquaculture, right? And I'm talking about in front of this village, there might be something about 500 foot by 500 foot area with cages in the lake. The lake has a lot of currents, right? I mean, when I throw a rock over the side of a boat, the current takes it away about that fast. I mean, the water's really moving up the north coast, west along the north coast, west along the south coast. It hits Rock Azul and it turns around and it comes back down the middle of the lake. Right? That's the general current flow here. So if you place cages in places where there's good currents, it carries away any waste there is. But the reason for cages is that it costs money to keep providing fresh water to fish. Right? It costs money to keep providing oxygen to fish. Okay? And it costs a lot of money to take away their waste and try and purify it. Right? All this can happen naturally in the lake. And for that reason, if we can provide, or if it can be justified that 1% of the lake can accommodate aquaculture, it will create 11,000 jobs. 11,000. The aquaculture area is one that is quite foreign to the fishermen. And every time we meet with them, they talk about how much money am I going to make. They don't talk about how the fish is going to grow, And so we have an education process. And the only way we can possibly do this is to start with small pilot projects and teach people, learn, okay? And we kill off a couple fish at a time, right? But we have some government programs that want to place money, place big money, want to place, 5 or 10 million pesos at a time and have up to 30 tanks, And my prediction and all the money I could find in my bank here, I would say it's going to fail, before the fish are 2 inches long, okay? Doing aquaculture is a very different business with concentrated fish, with 100 fish in a cubic meter, with oxygen going up and down. At nighttime, the algae and such switches over from creating oxygen to taking oxygen, and by 5 o'clock in the morning, the oxygen gets way down, And I was just out to a catfish farm out by La Barca the other day, and the guy has about 70 acres of ponds, and every catfish in those ponds 2 years ago died in about 3 hours. Because he wasn't sensitive to the fact of monitoring the oxygen, okay? You need to get out there with a paddle wheel and beat the water and put some oxygen into it, okay? And things like that. You have to watch the ammonia. But aquaculture is a very good topic for these people, and it's an alternate activity. Okay. I see on my, I don't have any plan, as you can tell. I have here low-cost bottled water. Right? When I go into rural communities, I find out that they're getting subsidized water, through the pipe. And it's cost them, let's say, 35 or 40 pesos a month for their subsidized water. The water that flows 100 liters per person per day, 200 or 300, okay? I tried to, in little villages, encourage the government to give 100 liters per person, and the big villages 300 liters per person per day, all right? Now, by contrast, while they're paying 30 or 40 pesos a month for piped water, okay, and they're getting several thousand liters a year, a month, at the same time, when the Santorini guy comes by, and the Coca-Cola comes by, he takes them for about 350 pesos a month, all right? And so when you do that, with families, it gets up to be 4,000, 5,000, and 6,000 pesos a year, and some of these families are pretty poor. And so I have a focus right now on trying to provide lower cost bottled water. We're doing an experiment under a Rotary, and let's see, Doug, where are you? Stay down. Doug is bringing money in from Canada.
Rotary from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia is a sponsor fund. Rotary.
Yeah. And so, with that kind of money, we can get a start, okay? Because I want to have an example, and basically we're taking the water that comes into town, we're taking 3% of their water and converting it into bottled water, and we're forming a committee in the town, and they'll run the operation, and instead of paying Santorini 20 pesos, they'll pay 5, all right? And if we can get that working, and the politics and the administration are tougher for me than the technical part, but if we can get that working, there are 30 million Mexicans in rural Mexico who can use that. So you can see the enormous potential if we're successful. Overflowing sewers. People out in San Juan Cocosla, down there on Calle La Paz, and people in Jocotepec on the east end of the Malecón there, and near Riviera del Lago, are seeing lots of sewage pouring out of manholes they call registros, running down the street, eventually running into the lake, potentially causing a hazard for dysentery, typhoid, typhus, diarrhea, you know, and other things that might just wipe all the people off the earth. And what the government's doing has been pretty silent. I had a meeting yesterday with President Chavez out in Jocotepec, and I was real happy to see the long list of projects he's working on, things that we've been hoping for years. Really has a long list. The man was so excited, he jumped up and said, you know, I got to show you what you told me 3 years ago when I was running for president, and then here's my notebook, what you told me when I became president, you know, and this is what I'm doing, okay? And that makes you feel good. So anyway, in real numbers, he has 17 million pesos to expand the Joco plant, right? Because what they've been doing is they've been shutting down the plant and taking on as much water as they can process, good enough, so when it comes out the end, it gives them a good paper that they can give to their boss. You know? And then the water they couldn't process, which would mess up their paper, that they let it run out the sewer down the street, okay? I mean, we don't operate on that logic, right, okay? But that's the logic, sometimes it hits here. So anyway, there's 17 million pesos for Jocotepec, 10 million pesos for San Juan Cocosla, expand that plant, and 14 million pesos in El Chante to put in a plant to expand and take over where that outrageous housing activity was created, which caused a terrible burden on everything here, filled a lot of pockets. But with that, it looks like the president will want to add on to that project the wetland that I'm proposing there. In other words, he wants to make that part of the project. We'll just fold it in and grab up the money for that wetland, hopefully through that El Chante plant. But anyway, this business of sewers and such is, sometimes it's a problem with the pipe, okay? Sometimes you people are getting bigger than the pipe, you know? And so we have to change the pipes, all right? Sometimes the pipe slope is not enough and we need to let it roll down. But sewers all run by gravity, okay? Water pipes run by pressure. So it usually runs about 1,000 feet, and then you should have a pump that picks it up about 7 or 8 feet, and then lets it run another 1,000 feet, and picks it up, we call it a lift pump, and then run like that. And so we have some problems like that as the population grows, but I'm real happy to see, in the case of Jocotepec, where there has been progress for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, okay? I mean, I'm sad to say that we have some kind of disease here in Chapala that doesn't get things done as much, okay? And somehow we need to encourage the people here, and we need to congratulate them with their success. The best thing that you can do here in Mexico, honestly, is to be grateful for anything that's done, okay? All right? All right? And to be praiseworthy of those people that did something, okay? Because then they'll do more, right? It's easy to say, you didn't pick up the trash, the water's not running, the sewer's not running, you know, and the bus did this, but I'm telling you, you know, there are some wonderful people in the government, okay? We only hear about the crooks, right? But there are some wonderful people there, and I'm telling you, you get a lot more money put into projects if you praise than you complain, right? In fact, if you complain enough, they'll just deport you, right? You know, if you complain a little bit, they'll just ignore you, right? So, I mean, I think you really need to think in a positive way about the government and try and offer them help, okay? I mean, you see what I do, okay? And I run around my little crazy, 26-year-old Toyota, operates on prayers and gasoline. And my mechanic, Carlos Morelos, up the hill here, it has a 500,000+ kilometers on it, okay? But it just goes every day, And when I go in the village, people think I'm a nice guy, I don't go in with a shiny SUV, but anyway. I need help, okay? I need help. I'm a civil engineer, okay? Sometimes I'm trying to be other things. And some people complain when I be other things. But I say, hey, who else raised their hand to do it? Right? I mean, on this fishing business, we should have a biologist or something like that, right? But the government called me because I get things done. Right? That's the way I see it, right? But I need help. I mean, there's too many things here that need to be done, and I'm getting too old to remember them all, I mean, I think I had at least 3 disappointed people in the last month that I said, I'm going to have lunch with you, And they went to lunch by themselves. And it's terrible, right? But somehow I missed it. But I need help, not just with engineers, but I need somebody like you who might want to be a secretary. I need somebody who might want to have Excel spreadsheets to put data in nice organized. I need somebody to do graphics, I need somebody maybe to do some YouTube videos, right? I think I can reach a lot of younger Mexicans by putting out some YouTube videos on what's going on here, okay? And what the solutions are. Because they're only 5 minutes long, and people that are from 15 to 35 look at YouTube to find out quickly what's going on, right? So anyway, I need help in a lot of different areas, and when that sheet is passing around, you're passing that sheet around for the email there, you can write on what kind of help you'd like to give me or see me afterwards. Arturo, is that you back there now? Stand up, okay. Arturo of Las Cruces. From the restaurant Las Cruces, yes. Los Crotos. Los, and then Crotos. And wonderful food, with wonderful spice, with wonderful hospitality, with a gentleman that you can talk to about anything in the world in English, to an infinite end, a born philosopher and writer, a great guy, right? Yeah. Anyway, there's lots of friends around the lake here, and that's a good thing. Okay. I don't know if I finished that topic or not, but let's go on to something like hydroponic greenhouses. How much time do I have left anyway? Okay. All right, now, hydroponic greenhouses. The world has mountains, and it has lakes, and it has land. And when you look at the land, only about 12, 13, 14% of it can be turned into farmland, okay? A fixed amount of land. We've got a world with about 6.5 billion people and growing. Right? We're not going to be able to feed these people just with that 12% of land. Right? And that 12% of land needs nutrient, it needs water, and a lot of times it's only good for a few months of the year, right? Because of either the heat or the cold or the rain or the lack of rain. Right? But here, on this ceramic tile floor, I can grow food, right? I can put a hydroponic greenhouse here. I can put it on a rock on the side of the mountain, right? And we can produce 25 times as much food per square meter or per square foot as we do in the field, because it can run all year. We can do it for 1/7 the water. We can do it for 1/3 the fertilizer, right? And the produce that comes out there is rather beautiful, okay? And some of you know I'm a pretty careful kind of guy, and I do a lot of calculations, and maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but I never lost $1 on investing in real estate. I lost lots of money in other things. And so I'm moving all my real estate money now into hydroponics. Maybe that'll tell you something, okay? An acre gives you about $300,000 to $500,000 profit per year. That's an acre. Enormous. The people that grow corn next to the hydroponic greenhouses I'm building right now get $40 profit per acre per year. Well, $40, okay? And I'll probably average 400,000. If they grow cotton, they get $50 or $60 per acre profit per year. If they grow alfalfa, they get $90 profit per year, per acre. There's a place in the future for hydroponics, and I like to see it come here to Mexico. I like to see it go into the small villages around the lake, much like I said, small aquaculture activities rather than giant ones. Again, I have so much profit in it, I can give people a lot of jobs, okay? Instead of taking all the profit, you can have 3 guys instead of one do the same job. And then they learn, and they go on and make the next greenhouse. But why don't we all have hydroponic greenhouses? 2 reasons, okay? 2 reasons. One is technology. Like aquaculture, we're intensifying, we're greatly increasing the activity. When you get 25 times as much food out of a square meter, you're doing something intense there, okay? You really got to control the temperature. You got to control the humidity. You got to control the pH, the acidity of the water. You got to control the nutrients in the fertilizer. You got to control the sunlight. You know, you got to watch all this stuff carefully. Okay. Plus, you got to make sure you got a market, right? If you got a ton of tomatoes coming in tomorrow, probably is that time going to go somewhere? You know? You got to do it ahead of time. The other thing, besides technology and technique and training, is capital. All right? And capital is what usually stops most people, because it takes money to build a greenhouse, to put in the heating and cooling systems, put in the water systems, put in the fans and things like that. Right. But the thing is, if you put in $10, you get out $3, $4 every year. Okay. If you put in 10, you get 3 or 4 out every year. Yeah. I don't know a better investment right now in the world, and I could eat it. And the world sometimes, you might say, goes in 90 or 100-year cycles. Right? We've been through an industrial cycle. We've been through an information cycle, and I believe now we're going back to an agricultural cycle for where we come from. Right? We had the land in the USA and Canada to produce agricultural products. Okay? The world needs that food, you know, and we can do it. But hydroponic greenhouses, basically, they're about $16 to $24 a square foot to build. And the profit's about $7 to $11 per square foot per year. Okay? So your payback's in under 3 years. Okay, the wetland at El Shante. We have 16 wastewater plants around the lake. They're good, okay? One of the wonderful good stories here in Mexico is that in 1979, there was a World Health Report, which people still read as if it is true today. A World Health Report that said Lake Chapala was polluted, okay? A good part of it, right? The same World Health Organization in 1989 gave the lake a rather clean bill of health, okay? A very high percentage of it, I forget what the words are, was, I'll say the word acceptable, but I think it was higher than that, okay? But we have a lot of people who read old papers, right? And the World Health Organization did an extensive study again in '89, all right? And I am working, and I'm trying to have other people work on giving this an update for 2011, okay? I believe the lake is cleaner than ever and is getting better. What has happened since the 70s, they've added about 80 wastewater treatment plants along the Lerma River, all right? The plants that are now on the lake were added in that time period too, all right? So the government has really done some things. I mean, these wastewater treatment plants, you heard my numbers there, you know, 10 million paces for this, 17 million paces for that. They're not cheap, right? I mean, when it costs $1 to get clean water, it costs $3 to take care of what goes out of your toilet. That's expensive stuff, okay? And sadly, 98% of what goes down your toilet was clean water. And the worst thing that happened in our world was, what's his name? Thomas Crapper. From England, you know, who invented this flush toilet, okay? I mean, yeah, I think some royal people had something like that, but he popularized this thing, you know? And now you see with pride, third world countries lay out 100 toilets on the street, you know, and say, look at what we're doing for the people, you know? We're giving them all a flush toilet, you know, so now they can use 3 times as much water when they don't have any. There's not enough water in the world for everybody to flush a toilet. We have to get away from that, okay? Separate the urine from the rest of the stuff. compost the rest of the stuff, and you'll be best off, okay? And that's where we have to go in the future. But, what was I talking about? I was talking about wetlands. Yeah, wetlands. Okay, El Shante. I went out to see the president last year, and I said to the president, you know, I designed a Malecone for Hocotepec a couple of years ago with an architect by the name of Marcus, and we built the Malecone in Hocotepec, and then Malecone here in Chapala got renovated. We built a new Malecone we expanded one in Ajijic, we got one in San Costa, we got one in El Shante, we got one in San Pedro and in San Cristobal, we got one over in Chapala. A lot of Malecones are coming. Now people can see the lake, okay? I lost myself again. Wetlands, okay, thank you. See, I joined ARP a couple of years ago. Okay, wetlands. I see, that's why I have 2 minutes, because my brain's turning off. All right, well, anyway, wetlands. Wetlands are biological sites with water and plants through which polluted water can flow. And the bacteria grabs onto the plant and then it reaches out and gobbles up all the goodies it can out of the water, okay? And the end result is the water comes out rather pure. And so what I would like to do is I'd like to see wetlands put in front of each wastewater plant. Because each one of these wastewater plants fails someday, okay? But nobody turns on the siren. Hey, our plant failed today. When you go there, there's a chain on the gate, okay? The only people that let me in the wastewater plants are women. Anyway, that's sort of a joke. I do get into some other ones. But there's a lot of secrecy about wastewater plants, okay, and what's happening and not happening. And we have them failing from time to time. And if we had a wetland in front of them, on those days when they fail, the wetland would pick things up. Because you design a wetland so you have about 1 meter of water full of plants, the water moves through that meter of water, and you work it so it takes about 30 days to go through. And along the way, different bacteria jump up voluntarily to eat what's left, you know, and they change pond by pond. They make about 8 or 10 ponds, 30 days. You got so. I would like to see these wetlands to be an emergency backup for plants. I'd like them to be an auxiliary backup when the plant, you know, it isn't even there. Okay, it won't do a perfect job, and I'd like them to be there for what we call tertiary, third level treatment. All right. Mexico only treats 20 to 30% of the waste in this country. All right. 70 to 80% of the waste goes downhill someplace. Okay. Most Mexicans say, "I hope it goes to the next guy's house." Now, here around the lake, we are very much blessed, okay? And I mean, there are some people griping, okay? I understand that, you know, because they came from another world. But about 80% of the waste is treated here, 80%, not 20 or 30, all right? And so I want to make that better because I want to make the lake better. I want to put wetlands in there. I want to polish the water. I want to really clean it up. Wetlands also become a great place for little fish to begin life without being eaten up, all right, by big fish. It's a wonderful place for birds. It's a wonderful place for small animals, and in turn it becomes a tourist attraction, okay? Because it doesn't smell, okay? You can run these paths around there, and so I want to do that so we have tourist attractions and habitats for animals and such. Okay. Okay. Algae in the lake. So some people have had interest, like my wife, about the algae in the lake.
It is 11:30, and if anybody wants to quietly leave, you're welcome to do so, and Todd will continue.
Also, just to let you know that the 3 bathrooms up front are unlocked, and the ones that
I didn't realize I had that impact on you people. You know? Yeah. The bathrooms are unlocked. Okay? Wow. Okay, algae, okay? All right. Algae is a little green plant, right? You know, and it loves phosphorus and nitrogen, right? And so when we have excess phosphorus and nitrogen in the water, it helps eat it up, okay? It helps eat it up. So periodically we see an increase in algae, okay? Let me think of 2 reasons. Let me share with you 2 reasons why algae can jump up, okay? And I think the one that's happening here recently is this. We have a lake which is about 6 meters deep. Okay, the lake here. This is 2 meters. There's 4 meters or so. All right, I can reach higher, but I'm the perfect size. See, and Greg Oaks down here, is an environmental giant. He's a waste of energy, right, Greg? Stand up, Greg. Come on. Here. Hey, stay there. Yeah, okay. Greg's with the green group, see, but I'm promoting small people for the next world. Because, we used to need people to pull a plow, but Greg, we're out of it, okay? That's not the case. So anyway, I'm lost again. Algae, good. Right. So anyway, the lake is that's 4 meters. The lake is 5 meters deep from Chapala to Hocotepec in general. Okay. On the other side of Chapala, over towards Mescal, it gets to be about 6 or 7 meters deep, and on the west end, it gets to be about 3 meters deep. Okay. All right. The top, it's a shallow lake. Okay. And I told you before, one of the wonderful things about this lake, is that it's shallow, and we have wind running around there all day, from all directions, putting oxygen into the water. We have a high level of oxygen. The saturation point for water is about 9 parts per million, and we're at sometimes 7 and 8 parts per million, all right? This lake is full of oxygen, which means it automatically eats up all kinds of garbage, all right? It automatically does that, okay? The other good thing about it, I feel like I'm carrying a staff now, okay? I came and I saw all the people and I said, boy, it's really nice, but I think I need fishes and loaves, Okay. Algae. Good. See, you guys are catching on now. I forget. Right? All right. So, we've had some unusually cold periods here, right? I mean, haven't you got up in the morning, your feet are cold? You say, man, I don't want to walk on that tile floor. You start to put socks on just to wake up. The top of the lake suddenly gets cold, okay? Cold water is heavier or lighter than warm water? It's heavier, okay? So, I got cold water on the top of the lake, and then once it's heavier, it goes down to the bottom of the lake. It pushes up warm water, okay? And so lakes turn over, okay? And when they turn over, and I don't know the exact balance of nitrogen where it is, but I believe there's nitrogen and phosphorus further down, or at least a fresh supply of it. And suddenly it comes to the top. And now the algae says, wow, look at this feast, And the algae grows like crazy, right? That's one reason, okay? The second reason is we have a silent, secret wastewater plant that isn't working, right? And under the lake is a pipe coming out, and if I looked at the stuff, you would know the color, A lot of phosphorus, a lot of nitrogen. Algae again screams, hey, come over here, And then the currents are carrying it westward, okay? So all you can say is it probably happened somewhere to the east of the algae, right? And the winds generally go westward, right? I was talking to the president in Hocotepec yesterday, and he was sort of complaining about, the algae and things. I said, well, that's your lot in life, The wind blows your way, you get it. The current goes your way, you're going to get it too, okay? So let's figure out some way to make money, okay? Okay. All right. I didn't even talk about the testing of the fish. Here's a report that we put out to the media and such on the testing of carp fish in the lake for mercury. All right. We've had lots of people, with zero facts and a big ego and sometimes a different agenda, saying the lake is highly polluted. All right, without facts. So when we got so much of this on the fish here this past spring that it caused the Minister of Health to put out an advisory that it didn't look to be safe to be eating too much fish. And that caused a real panic among the fishermen and their business. It caused a reaction among the public. Hector Alvarez, the congressman for this part of the state, asked that I develop a study, and then he went around and bent some arms of presidents of municipios, and the presidents in Tuxtleca, Tizipan, Chapala, and Hocotepec came up with money, and he gave me a debit card with 100,000 pesos and said, go do it, And And so, I hired boats and got motors and got people and got tested, and we went out there for 2 months on the lake and got 250 fish from 25 locations, all right? The kind of tests that were done in the past that were saying that things were bad were based on 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, and the max last year up to 6 fish, which, they rotted on the way back to the U.S. where they were tested. And the report, said that the report specified the wrong limit for the wrong test, and it put all the fish together in one big lump, and the average was the wrong thing to do. They should have put the median. A lot of things happened, but anyway, it caused bad publicity, and so the desire of Deputy Todd Alvarez was to create something that would bring truth to the fact of what is the real value for the lake. So I decided that we needed to test more than just the lake. We needed to do more than go to the market at Hokotepec or Chapala and buy some fish, okay? Well, which is what students on winter break do when they come to a place like this. And so we decided we're going to go into the lake, and we're going to go into the lake in those places where there's probably a good reason to think there's pollution, all right? And we're going to try a couple other places where we think there's no pollution so we can compare the two. So I came up with 25 locations. In the world, when you want to make a good test on fish and you want to be able to publish it and scientifically justify it because of a high level of confidence, you need 30 to 50 fish, all right? So I got 250 fish, which is the largest fish test in the world I know of, okay? And we're through 90 of those fish right now for mercury, and we're working about 30 a week. Right? But the reason we went with the big sample is we want to be able to tell you how is it in Hokobet, how is it at Tuxtleca, how is it in Mescala, how is it at La Palma and Hamai, and how is it in front of the Lerma River, okay? In front of the Lerma River, where we expect all the, maybe 70% of the pollution, all right? It's high, all right? It's still below the limit. And right now, with the data I have, it's around 0.8 or 0.9 versus a limit of 1, okay? So it's up there, okay? For the whole lake in general, the limit right now, the mean, the average is 0.39. The median is 0.35, all right? In other words, the level of mercury in the carp fish in the lake here is similar to a can of American tuna fish. All right? All right. That's true.